Good morning, good morning. How are you all today? This is Minister Latoya coming to you. Thought I'll hop on here for a second. It was just, in my spirit because of the experiences this been happening for the past couple weeks. Not just with me, but just people that I know. And me and my friend was talking the other day, and we came to the conclusion, well, it's not really so much of a conclusion, it's just about the Word of God and dealing with people in business and knowing that you as a person is going somewhere. So it is important how you act and you carry yourself, because everybody is not going where you're going. And sometimes when we make deals with certain people, we have to get to the point in our lives to understand and know if it is a God thing or if it is a human thing. And what I mean by that is saying that sometimes the interaction or the conversation or the communication may not be on point as we as people will expect it to. But if we don't sit in that thing and pray about that thing and react, sometimes we can miss what God is trying to do, not just for us, but just for that other person. And I knew someone that was in a situation that pretty much they were being so nasty, and she could have listened to her team players, and the team player could have said, hey, well, the team player did say, oh, no, we're not working with that person. They're nasty. They're this, they're that. And she sat in that thing, because God called her to be the leader according to his purpose. She sat in that thing. And she could have lashed out. She could have said, X, Y, Z, made herself feel good. But in that very moment, she sat back. And when she sat back, she said to me, God grabbed a hold of me. And I had to determine whether that this was a God thing or was this a human thing. And I had to seek his face that moment, because I understood that, he could be having me in a test. And I was like, ooh, that's a good word. That's a good word. And, come to find out, God was testing to see where her heart was at. She understood from that point that she didn't need to be validated. She didn't need to be aggressive. She didn't need to say, whatever it is that she could say to make herself feel good. And it's like, no, I'm in this relationship with you. We don't have a business relationship. She could have done all of that, but if she would have done that, then she would have missed the blessing and the opportunity that God was setting forth to allow, her enemies to be her footstool, or allow, her enemy to bless her. And the Bible talks about that, preparing the table before you in the presence of your enemies and allowing your enemies to be your footstool. So it is very important. It is very vital for us to understand. And as I always say, what season that we're in, and when we're dealing with certain people, a lot of people will look at that and be like, oh, well, you was being weak because if it was me, I would have done da-da-da-da-da. But first of all, you ain't the one with the deal. You ain't the one that God has set place in that particular thing to sit there. So how can you say if it was you, you would have done or you would have reacted to? It's not the same thing. So we need to, as people, stop saying that. Oh, I would have did da-da-da-da-da. Girl, I would have told them off. Girl, you know me. Yes, some people do know you. But do they know you to react in another way? Do they know the you that is unfamiliar with their spirit? Sometimes we have to learn how to sit in things, not so be so quick to react, and then if it's meant to give a response, then you give a response. But if it's not meant to give a response, and you understand that the conversation is not fruitful and it's not going anywhere, cut it off. Cut it off. Why? Because you don't need to be validated. You don't need to explain to people who you are, or who you're not. Sometimes it's not worth it. Because sometimes, even in their mental capacity, that's all they're going to think anyway, because it's not going anywhere. And that's not saying that you're better than them. But you know, sometimes in the capacity, is it really worth it? Some people are not going where you're going. So, I say all that to say that, determine whether it is, again, a God thing or is it a human thing. If it's a human thing, it's not going to bear fruit. But God bears fruit. He bears fruit. So, I'm not going to take up your time. I thought it was just so interesting. And, we as women, we have to learn how to work on that, because when we do work on that, we won't worry about whether not if we're in competition or somebody's trying to do this or that. We'll be happy and whole with self. And so, I am, a life coach. That is something that, that is important. That is important for us, especially as, African American women. Not saying that it's not important for all races, because it is, but, we have to learn sometimes to be able to understand and sit in some things and not always be, self-validated or, because, you feel like that so-and-so is looking or watching. So, but I'm not going to take up your time. I have to render to Caesar what is Caesar. So you be blessed on today. Grace and peace.